Hey everybody, and welcome along to your yin practice today. My name is Shad and I'm going to be taking you through a nice, soft, slow, yummy yin practice. I actually filmed a class for YouTube yesterday and it was a really high intensity, not high intensity, but a stronger practice where I was like dripping in sweat, and I got to the end of it and I checked and I hadn't pushed record, so I thought, you know what, today I'm just going to practice a yin class and share a yin class with you guys. I have shared 2 flows in the last 2 weeks, so those are there if you want to go and practice them. They are right there. Maybe I can link them if I can get that savvy on here. But otherwise, today's just going to be a nice, soft, floaty yin. These are stretches that I really feel like you could do every day just to help kind of keep mobile and keep everything moving and free. You're going to need a bolster or a pillow. I know that not everyone's got a bolster lying around at home. Up until recently, I didn't either, but now that I do, I'm using my bolster today. When I've taught these classes online before, I've just used a pillow, maybe a couple of pillows from your bed or your couches, stack them up and then give yourself a nice kind of squishy prop to use. Another thing that's handy in a yin practice is 1 block. Maybe you have 2 blocks. If you have no blocks, then just use a book. A book is a good thing to use. What else could you use? I don't know, really anything that's just kind of like a rectangle or a square, and it gives you just a bit of like leverage, something to lean on. And yeah, you can practice anywhere. I have seen people practicing just like on a rug at home. You don't have to be on a yoga mat. To be honest, for a yin practice, it's probably nicer to be on like a softer surface. So just get nice and comfortable and we're gonna go ahead and get started. Remember that when you're practicing yin, you don't wanna come into any of the postures too hardcore. We're not looking for that hardcore stretch feeling. We're just looking for a soft, gentle release. And the more time that you spend in the posture, the more that will come into your awareness, and you'll start to actually bring your awareness deeper into the body. So you're not looking for this extreme stretch. You're just allowing yourself to actually sink into what is already there. So we are going to go ahead and get started. Let's come to the back of the mat to start. You're going to take your 2 big toes to touch, knees nice and wide apart, and we're going to take the bolster down in front. So you can, if you want to, just do child's pose onto the ground, but for today, because we just want to get used to using props, you're going to take the bolster down in front of you, stretch the arms out, and we're going to take the right ear down onto the mat. Closing the eyes down, let yourself be here, just starting with 5 rounds of breath. Allow the chest to be heavy, the hips to be heavy. You're welcome to do this on the ground if you don't want to use a bolster. Just letting yourself rest. Still work with the right ear on the mat just so the neck gets a little bit of rotation through there. And we are going to come through and then just turn the gaze the other way. So looking with the left ear on the mat this time, just finding a bit of rotation. Nice and gentle. Nice deep breaths. Really setting yourself up. 1 more full breath in. Full breath out. Lifting, we're going to come all the way into a tabletop and just move your bolster off to one side. Find your hands down underneath you for a tabletop position. Drop your belly nice and slow. Inhale, lift the gaze, the chin. Exhale, tuck the tailbone back. Push rounding away. Maybe you even come onto your fingertips. And then back down to the hands, rolling through, dropping the belly. And we're going to walk the hands forward as far as you can. Try to get your chin on the floor, the chest on the floor. I know that this is not easy. So if you want to, take a block and then stretch your arms out and place your chin onto the block so you've got this little bit of lift through the chin to look forward. If you're really just not a fan of this one, you're going to put your forehead onto the floor, Close the eyes, push into your hands. Find your breath here. So either one of these variations is fine. Forehead, maybe chin on the block, or maybe chin on the floor. And remember, we're not looking for that intense stretch. We're just allowing the body to open. Tuning into breath. And creating some internal space. Investigating. Notice if maybe one shoulder feels a little tighter than the other. Notice if the inhale is longer than the exhale. Can you balance these two parts of the breath out? One more breath here. Lift and come all the way back up into your tabletop position. We're just going to draw the knees together and sink yourself back onto your heels. Take the hands behind your back, interlace your fingers. Roll the shoulder blades together and begin to search, almost as if you're trying to touch the ground with the tops of the fingers. So you're searching back for the space. The chest opens, so the heart opens. Really working into kind of just starting with the upper body. Maybe tucking the chin or lifting. Pull, see if you can get those shoulder blades down the back, and then release and come forward. Working into the hips, take your right foot to the outside of the right hand, slide your left knee back. I always love to go wide, so the right knee really wide, push it out to the right. Maybe find the inner arch of the right foot lifting off the floor, and then see how you feel here. So if you have space, you can maybe just choose to stay, walk the hands out. If you have more space, come down onto your elbows, sinking into the hips. Maybe sway the pelvis really gently side to side. And you can always rest your forehead down onto a block. Just finding your breath here. You might notice you get a little bit more space as you stay here a little longer. The hips open. If you have room, then you can go back and take your right hand towards that back foot. So sometimes what happens is, you just can't because the mobility or the space isn't there. So you can work into lifting on your left hand and see if that helps. If you feel like you're forcing, and that's really just where you have to be honest with yourself and your practice, if you're forcing something, let it go in all aspects of life. If it feels forced, just let it go. So if you're really working hard here, that's not what we want. We just want you to be soft and enjoy the space that you have. When you're ready, coming all the way up, I'm going to walk this right foot across for Pigeon Pose, one of my favorite postures. Stretching, opening the hips, the glutes, and we're going to take the bolster down in front. You might not actually need a bolster, but it's nice to have one. So make sure your right knee is far to the right. This right shin is probably diagonal, but working towards coming parallel to the top of the mat. Good. And you're going to sink those hips down. Maybe work on lifting up through the upper body, and then begin to walk your hands down onto the mat, all the way down. Option to come down onto the forearms, or maybe you're just going to let yourself rest completely onto your bolster. Closing down the eyes. Good, and then you might just gently sink the hips down. See if you can get your right hip to earth, but don't drop off to one side. Make sure that the pelvis stays level to the floor. Tuning into breath. creating space. 3 more breaths here. One more after this. Slowly coming all the way back up. Hopefully that right hip is really having a nice time. We're going to come into tabletop position, all the way back, and just gently sway the pelvis side to side. So allow the hips to kind of just groove it out. Feel into your space. Let's move on to left side. So taking left foot to the outside of the left hand, slide your right knee back. And you might find that actually one hip is a lot tighter than the other. That's normally true, you know, in different levels. So see how you feel, or you might feel that this hip has got more space. So maybe you're coming down to elbows here. Remember, no forcing. And it's nice to just check in too. So maybe you went a little bit further and then once you're there you realize, actually no, I don't need to be here. And so it's just being aware in that moment and being present and responding to where your body is at. So you can just move intuitively, looking for stillness in a yin practice. But I always think of yin like a glacier, which I actually don't think I've ever seen before, but that's what it feels like to me. A glacier is so powerful, you know, it's this big frozen body of water, and it moves so slowly, and it's this kind of undercurrent that's the same thing we're tapping into when we move into yin. It's a very slow thing. It almost looks like it's not moving, but it's so powerful. So moving just a little bit, but almost as if you can't see it. We're going to take this left hand back, just like we did on the other side. If any forcing feelings happen, let it go. Let it go. Find your breath. Welcome to be down on the elbow if you really went there on the other side. 3 more breaths here. 1 more. Releasing. Come all the way back. Walk the foot across. All the way across. Drop your left knee out wide. Sinking down, pigeon pose. Get the hips nice and low. Same thing again, we're using a bolster. You don't have to use the bolster, but it's nice to get in the habit of letting yourself use props, especially if you don't normally give yourself props throughout your practice. Sometimes they can be seen as like you're taking the easy route, but it's totally not true at all. Props allow you to actually drop deeper into your practice and into your posture. So just using them, practicing using them in a way that feels good. When you come down this time, we're going to take the left ear to the mat. So just finding your left ear, maybe you're stacking them onto your hands, your ear onto your hands, sorry. Nice deep ujjayi breaths, rinsing and flushing out through that left hip joint. As you inhale, feel the belly expand. Maybe press the right hip down towards the mat and pull your left hip back in space. Flushing out through that left hip joint. Noticing the different sensations that occur when you stay in the posture. Finding 1 more breath here, doing great. Gently come all the way back up. This time bring your right leg around so you end up with both legs out. You're welcome to sit on a bolster for this as well. I'm not going to, but if you want to, if you feel like it's going to help you out, prop yourself up. So we're going to go into a butterfly pose. So take your feet together, knees wide apart. If you feel like you're kind of cramped up here, lift yourself up, prop onto a bolster or a block so it gives you more space. Pelvis is elevated. Good, so inhale to look up, lifting the chest, the heart, the throat. Exhale to lean forward, closing down, bowing down. Head is heavy. Good, you might choose to walk your hands out long in front of you. You might choose to keep holding onto your ankles, maybe gently press the elbows into the knees. No forcing. And gently coming all the way back up. I'm going to stretch the right leg out wide. Press your left foot in towards your inner thigh. And then looking down, your right leg, inhale. Exhale to walk the hands all the way down. Forward fold. Find that breath here. Even if you feel you're kind of maybe more up here, that's fine. Tuck your chin, be present with the practice. If you do have more space, you can bring your right hand on the inside of the right heel, peel this side body open and come up and over. Maybe working towards taking the foot. Breathing into that space. Such a good stretch. We'll find 3 more breaths here. Find a smile. Coming all the way back up. And then other side. Taking your left leg out long. And just moving slowly in between, like the transitions of the postures as well. No rush. Inhale, looking down that left leg, and then deciding if you're either just taking your hands, maybe one on each side. If this is enough for you here, then beautiful, stay with that. If you've got a bit more space, left hand to the inside, stretch up and over. Nice big side body stretch, peel open. If you can't quite reach the foot, just float. Maybe even take the hand to the back of the head. So you're always finding freedom and finding space throughout your practice. If you've gone too far, remember, just ease out of it. One more breath here. Coming all the way back up. So good. Okay, so we're going to take the bolster. Come to face the back or the front of your mat. Taking your bolster, you're going to place it down behind you, and we're going to lay all the way down. Final posture of your practice today. Taking your hands down beside you. Try to draw your shoulder blades together underneath you. Take the soles of the feet together. Close the eyes. If breath is something you're still working on, maybe take your hands to your belly and just focus on the breath. Inhaling, filling. Exhaling, softening. If you want a little bit more, take your arms back behind you. Open into the chest, gently interlace your fingers. Allow the shoulder blades to draw in towards each other and the elbows to fall wide apart. If it's too much on the hips, take your heels away from the pelvis. If you want more, heels closer up towards the hips. Finding your breath here. Fully in. Fully out. Allow the hips to open, the diaphragm, the belly, really just sinking in. Sighing it out. 3 more breaths here. Of course, you're welcome to stay in this posture for as long as you like. Soften the face, the jaw. Gently, we're going to take the hands down beside you. Draw the knees back towards each other. And then just move to one side. Take your bolster out from underneath you, or your pillows if you've been using pillows. Draw the knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a nice big hug. And then let the legs come down long. Final posture of our practice today. You don't need a long time every day to practice yoga, and it doesn't have to always be, super vigorous, or it doesn't have to be intense. It can be soft, it can be beautiful. So just allow yourself to sink into your Shavasana today, moving with the breath. As you're lying here, see if you can scan down to your feet and start to imagine a beautiful light or energy moving through your legs, all the way up through the hips, through your belly, filling up into your heart space, your rib cage, your shoulders and arms and fingers, back through the shoulders and through the throat, filling up to the crown of the head. Invite a nice deep breath in. Sigh it out. Gently we'll take the feet together long, stretch the arms long back behind you. Try to keep your eyes closed and hug the knees in towards your chest, squeezing in. Turning over to your right hand side, take your time, maybe your eyes are still closed. And then when you're ready, just finding a seat that is comfortable. We'll draw the hands down onto the knees, turn the palms to face out, connect your pointing finger and your thumb. Open up your heart space, close the eyes down. Lean the chest forward, hips back. Bowing chin to chest. Take a moment to feel into the connection through your hands, union, mind, body, soul, your breath. Draw the hands to the heart center, inhaling, sighing it out. We'll seal the practice with one sound of Om. Inhale. Om. Bowing your chin to your chest. The highest light in me honors the highest light in you. Thank you for sharing your practice. Namaste. I hope that you really enjoyed that. If you did, I know I did, I feel nice and floaty. If you did, feel free to just give a little thumbs up or write in the comments section how you found it. I would love to know. I'm really enjoying sharing this way on social media platforms. I haven't really used YouTube before, so it's a new way for me that I feel like I can authentically share what I love, and so I would love to hear how you went with it. I hope that it was beautiful. You have a beautiful day, or if you did this in the evening, you have a beautiful sleep, and I will see you soon.